Hello, YouTube. Russia is full of mysterious and mystical places, and I have demonstrated many of them in my videos. I mentioned this one I'm going to talk to you about today. I mentioned it before, but I want to bring more information. Bring more clarity to the issue, or maybe more confusion. Show connections to crucial events, and recall my cooperation with Soviet ufologists in 1991 and a little later. You see, expeditions of Russian researchers of anomalous zones, paranormal territories, to the most mysterious points of the country have been regularly conducted. I am not sure this will be the trend in the wartime period, but we will see. However, only a few of them dare to or are even able to visit the mysterious Vidim area or site, depending on how you want to translate the Russian word rurcla. Sounds much more cooler than the English site or area. Anyway, that rurcla is located in the Irkutsk region. This place has had a bad reputation since ancient times, as people are constantly disappearing there, both singly and in groups. The lake located in these places received the nickname Dead Lake. At first glance, the work settlement of the Nizhny Olim district of the Irkutsk region does not attract much attention. However, there is this famous anomalous zone in its vicinity. The Vydim area is among the most mysterious places in Russia. Stories about this paranormal territory or anomalous zone cause horror even among experienced researchers, at least to some observers. I don't know if I would go that far as to say the horror, but they are concerned. There is evidence that visiting fishermen and hunters disappear around the dead lake, and local residents try to avoid this zone. Those who decide to explore the Vydim area report the appearance of a mysterious silvery glow over the lake and its shores, as well as mysterious circles arising on earth, meaning from the soil up. Ufologists believe that these signs are left by representatives of extraterrestrial civilizations, who often visit this paranormal territory. It is not difficult to guess that the Vydim area was nicknamed the Siberian Bermuda Triangle because in this place too there are disappearances without any traces, which are difficult to find an explanation for. The most famous cases were listed by the candidate of geographical sciences Yuri Supronenko and Russian writer Irina Shlonskaya in a book that they wrote jointly, Places of Power on the Map of Russia, Moscow, year 2013. Near the lake, many disappearances of people, mainly hunters and fishermen, were recorded. In 1992, a group of researchers from Naberezhny Chelny got lost here. Let me explain. Naberezhny Chelny is an industrial city in west-central Russia. Let me continue. In the same area, 40 kilometers from the village, we saw a train of 23 cars carrying components of weapons of mass destruction mysteriously disappear along with drivers and guards. In June of 1997, under unclear circumstances, 3 operatives of the Vydim village police department disappeared. Supronenko and Shlonskaya wrote in their book, "It is noteworthy that the disappeared people could not be found, but among them were experienced researchers of anomalous zones, qualified security guards, and law enforcement officers. Information about the entire train carrying unknown weapons of mass destruction and disappearing without a trace in the area of the anomalous zone in general sounds ominous. However, not all scientists, ufologists, and researchers of the unknown or paranormal paranormal phenomena take stories about the Vidim area on faith, meaning they don't buy it. Many of them believe that there may be a secret military base in the Dead Lake area, and all the stories about the anomalous zone basically are spread deliberately so that overly curious citizens simply do not stick their noses where they should not. It reminds you of some other situations, and not only in Russia. Anyway, the Russian military and intelligence officers would never allow the loss of the entire train with weapons of mass destruction. And if such a thing had happened, the entire Vydim area would have been dug up along and across, meaning no stone would be left unturned. However, the secret cargo was most likely lost deliberately to hide it more securely. In addition, many researchers note that in the working settlement of the Irkutsk region, if you believe modern maps, there is no lake, especially bearing the ominous name Dead. An attentive person, after analyzing numerous reports about the Vydim area, is able to notice that it is often confused with another anomalous zone located on the border of the Irkutsk region and the Krasnoyarsk territory, namely the Devil's Cemetery, or the Devil's Clearing or Glade. This is the Devil's Graveyard. It is not difficult to notice coincidences in the stories about these places, and I've described it in my previous videos as well. So, for example, Ukrainian ufologist Halina Zelezniak and the researcher of the paranormal Andrei Koska in the book Mysterious Places of the Planet, Kharkiv, Ukraine, year 2006 publication, noted that people also disappear without a trace in the area of Chortovaya Polyana, or the Devil's Clearing. It's like a magnet attracts various hunters for the unusual phenomena, but not everyone returns. The Polyana has its own blacklist. In 10 years, from 1980 to 1990, almost 75 people died there. 3 groups simply did not return from the taiga, boreal forest. The researchers lost the maps on which they marked the search zones. In 1992, a group of tourists, 10 people from Naberezhnye Chelny, disappeared, wrote Zelezniak and Koska. Pay attention, the same year, 1992, and for sure the same group from Naberezhnye Chelny. Only this time they disappeared not in the Vydim area, but at the Kova River, near the village of Karamyshovo in the Kerzhemsky district of the Krasnoyarsk territory. That is in the Devil's Cemetery. A lot of time and work was devoted to the study of the anomalous zone of paranormal territory by the famous astrologer Alexander Rempel, who in 1990s was one of the leaders of the Vladivostok Ufological Association. Let me mention here that I've been in touch with a number of Soviet UFO research groups from 1990 to 1991 to the heady years in the 1990s, in the modern history of Russia, the years when UFO information was being released after decades of totalitarian control. I had published Russian language articles about Western and Soviet ufology in the Rempel's newspaper Gentry, and I followed their field research. They also sent me, those Vladivostok ufologists and Rempel, information about the Dalnygorsk crash when almost nobody spoke about it, a few other things. Also in 1991, I met with Marina Popovich, who gave me information about the Phobos space probes and how they were destroyed in the vicinity of Mars. It was a very interesting time. But I also did my own field research in Yucatan then, I think for the first time, and in later years, and was quite busy. But Rempel told me about his expeditions. On his personal website, the researcher posted the article, The Tunguska Enigma and the Devil's Cemetery, in which he assumed that the famous Tunguska meteorite actually fell near the village of Karamyshevo. In the article, Rempel explained where he got the information about the numerous cases of mass disappearance of people in this anomalous zone. Over 10 years, from 1980 to 1990, more than 70 people died while searching for the Devil's Cemetery. We received this data from the members of the Fraternal Tourist Club. I think Bratsk is a better word. I don't want to translate it into English. I think they came from the city of Bratsk. Tourist Club and the police, who during these years investigated the death of the tourists and rafters on the Kova. Since Bratsk is located in the Irkutsk region, some ufologists from among Rempel's opponents suggested that he simply confused two different anomalous zones. After all, Bratsk policemen and tourists most likely told the visiting researcher about the Vidim area, not about the Devil's Glade located in the neighboring Krasnoyarsk territory. In particular, the researcher of various secrets and paranormal phenomena, Sergei Rostovtsev, the author of a series of articles titled The Devil's Cemetery Anomalous Zone, The Story of a Legend, which was published on the website of the World Travel Academy from 2014 to 2017, came to this conclusion. It's not difficult to guess that it was the Nizhny Ilim phenomenon and not about Kova, because Bratsk operatives were not authorized to deal with the Kezham affairs. People simply did not understand each other because the Devil's Cemetery appears in the description of both phenomena, Rostovtsev explained, and he was referring, as operatives, I'm sure he was referring to law enforcement people. In general, the information available to researchers about the Vydim area, as can be seen, is extremely contradictory and confusing. This means that the future brave seekers of the unknown and ufologists have the opportunity to figure everything out on their own and perhaps make a sensational discovery, if they're allowed to. As for Rempel, I lost touch with him, I think around 1996. For years, I learned from him later that he, who spoke no English in 1991, found wherewithal to travel to various paranormal sites around the world. He visited forbidden places in a number of countries, including the pyramids, but not as ordinary tourists would, and met interesting personalities. I recall that he was not well off financially in Vladivostok in 1991, for example, and actually later moved to Kaliningrad in westernmost part of Russia. So if you look at my videos about this former part of Eastern Prussia and now part of Russia since World War II, you will learn the tremendous paranormal burden locked in its soil, dark secrets present there for centuries, and of course, espionage, long lost treasures, Nazi underground, the work of the KGB operatives, and of course, this is the territory where Russia is facing NATO, up close, very interesting. But Rempel is now a practicing astrologist, publishes an internet newspaper, but somehow, I think there's much more to his drastic transformation. But this was not shared with me, and I do not impose on people. I don't ask unnecessary questions. Hopefully, he told us all that there is about the devil's graveyard or glade, but who knows? We'll continue the research. And I gotta tell you, even in the 1980s, even during the Soviet times, before the perestroika, or just about when it started, there were interesting expeditions and searchers with as well. So maybe we'll speak about them one other time. This is what I wanted to let you know today. Stay tuned to more of my videos. You know you will always hear information where you might not hear it elsewhere. And keep in mind, we live in a very complicated world. Some say matrix. I don't know. But if you want to support my research, you can do it through the links you'll find in the description into this video. Please tell others about my channel. please subscribe to it and like my videos. Thank you.